What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast. I'm Ronan Gaine. Joining me as always, Chris Nambu. We are about to see our first NBA Finals Game 7 since 2016. It's been that long since we've seen a Game 7 in the NBA Finals, and not too many people predicted that we'd get there in this series. A lot of people thought it was going to be simple enough for the OKC Thunder to win it all, but that first title, it never comes easy, and we're seeing that with both teams in this series. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm good. And let me clarify that. We just said this off air, but anyone who says that they call this the game seven, you're either a Pacers fan or you're lying. Nobody said that. No, nobody in the media is saying that. Nobody on Twitter is saying that. The Pacers truly just they just continue to delay. Like full disclosure, I just watched this game. I was on night shift, so I'm riding the immediate high of watching that game. I feel like as this playoffs have gone on, I've just evolved into a Pacers fan. I just feel totally biased. So forgive my bias in advance. I feel like I just watched my own team win that. Just the way that they have turned the Cinderella story on. It's incredible. But look, dude, I totally didn't think about that, by the way. The last game seven being in 2016.
Crazy, right?
What happened then? I mean, the comeback that we saw then,
It's pretty memorable game seven. All right, one of the most memorable that we're ever gonna see. And here's hoping we get another one similar to that on Sunday.
the small market Midwest team strike again in a game seven. We'll see. But let's dive straight into it, man. Like initial, how did we feel about the first like 4 minutes of that game? I mean, did that 10-2 run by OKC, Pacers missed their first eight shots, building feels restless. It just doesn't feel good there. You feel like this is going to be another one of those games. OKC's going to get going, Pacers are going to struggle. You're not really seeing anything from Halliburton. Where's offense going to come from? And then, boy, do things shift. How are you feeling that first 4 minutes? Did it feel kind of like hopeless again? Like you kind of it just felt inevitable that OKC was gonna win this game off rip?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, we're watching that. You just saw, your instant thoughts are, yeah, Halliburton, fair play for him sticking through this, but he's really not got it tonight. Like he obviously is pretty hurt. But then the Pacers do what the Pacers do. They take their time out after starting going on that 0-8 run, and then all of a sudden they put together an 8 of 10 run, and they're back in the driver's seat, and they never let up for the entire game. And that's just the Indiana Pacers all over.
They go on to push the second largest deficit that OKC has suffered, the first being against the Timberwolves. They go on to hold their greatest lead in the series, if not the playoffs against any team, if I'm not mistaken. And ultimately, they outscore the Thunder 68-32 after going down 10-2. And for a team that, I think has both teams have struggled to close out series in this playoffs. So you kind of
Yeah.
expected you kind of expected it in a way that they were going to show out in their home court. And I think when are we going to be done doubting the Pacers, right?
Never.
You
They're just
can't.
like that's just what's gonna happen. Like I'm gonna doubt them forever, but like they keep proving me wrong, and like respect to them. I think this series we've really seen. I think the credit you have to give to a great coach like Rick Carlisle, and like the importance of experience there. Like even like who knows like how much like Siakam is bringing to this unit right now, how much Carlisle's experience as a coach is bringing to this Pacers team. I think we've seen that in flashes throughout this series, and I think it's something that we didn't give enough kind of credence to before this final series, but I think we're really seeing it throughout the series so far.
Yeah, and I gotta say that the not just Carlisle, but this bench as a whole, this team as a whole, everyone throughout this roster, you didn't see Hallie have it, and then you see another classic game, TJ McConnell. You throw him in there, Pacers not getting offense, and you don't get a run from OKC because he's just so tenacious, getting 2 feet in the paint when no one else was at the time, creating offense that way, ridiculous shots. And there's one back-to-back possession that I feel like defines this entire game. A game where the Pacers were getting more 50-50 balls. They were just having more energy. They're out rebounding. TJ McConnell out rebounds Isaiah Hartenstein, leads to a three. On the other end of the floor, there's a scrum for the ball. TJ McConnell gets in there and rips it away from Isaiah Hartenstein, leads to another Pacers bucket. And it's just plays like that just embody this Pacers team that it's truly their energy, it's their tenacity, it's their drive that has been pushing them throughout this whole postseason. But I want to stick to the Thunder real quick here because I think there's some holes to poke here. I think that while the Pacers had a tremendous game, they did not respond in the way that you'd expect a championship team to respond. And you can blame it on youth. Maybe you could blame it on just lack of confident shooting. I think the Pacers did a lot of great things defensively, really bringing up pressure, not letting OKC get to those high pick and rolls. They're really aggressive, icing those and rotating behind help. But I mean, the playmaking from Shai, playmaking from Jalen Williams, and everyone else really moving the ball, I thought was just flat out awful. I think that they did not respond well in the situation where they needed Shea to show up. They needed to share the ball more. They needed to be more decisive with their drives, and we didn't see that.
No, no, it was a disappointing game for sure, and like obviously this is coming off the back of a great all-time duo performance in Game Five, where both
Yeah,
Jalen and Shea were just incredible, and these are kind of the ebbs and flows of the series. But
yeah,
I think a lot of us going in last night, especially like hearing the news about Hallie, like how he was a game time decision and coming in and knowing like that had to kind of you had to think that's like working on the psyche of the Pacers guys a lot. And you, yeah, and you would think you'd want a team that we believe the OKC to be like this. We almost believe, like, we don't want to say it, can't really say that modern day, like the next dynasty, that's what OKC could be. You would expect them to have come out and put up a much better fight than they did. Like effectively, they were blown out in this game. Like that was the ultimate result of it, and a lot of it fall like as it always does. It's gonna fall on Shea. It's gonna fall on J Dub. They are both kind of susceptible to kind of just having these off games, and unfortunately, I feel like they usually come together, which is it's kind of a bad thing for OKC. Not to say that this is the be all and end all, but yeah, last night for sure was a clear sign of where there is still growth in the games of both of the players.
yeah, yeah. And I just to contrast the two, Shea going 31 points, 4 blocks, 2 steals, 10 assists in game five. Jalen Williams obviously having a game of his life, 40 points, 4 assists. They follow that up with their worst game of the season. I don't think that's hyperbole. Shea ties his career high in turnovers. The team as a whole, they have their highest number of turnovers as a team for the entire season. And in a game where they needed it the most. And I think that they're going to be up for to respond next game, but I think they'll just kind of trickle down from there. You didn't see the single ball movement, and to be fair, you didn't see the magic that you got from their role guys. You didn't get your constant barrage of threes from Dort, from Wiggins, from Caruso, just timely threes from them. Really, I think that the shots that their role players have been making throughout this series has really mattered. You'd have couple of bad possessions. Pace about to make a run. All of a sudden, you have just deflating 6 points straight from Lou Dort. Another three from Caruso. Another three from Wiggins. And those shots have just been so deflating. You didn't get any of that this game. And credit to Pacers. They really limited the volume from the Thunder. They were chasing guys off the line. They were making Lou Dort, really question his shots. Times where they're chasing him off the line. Times where they're leaving him wide open. Times where they're making a double pump, and just never got comfortable there, to be fair.
No, and the like the 3 point shot has abandoned OKC in a lot of moments throughout this series in some games and in some crucial moments, and it's really Caruso, Dort, and Wiggins who are carrying them from deep. Like Caruso, or sorry, Dort alone is shooting 51.7% from deep. Those
It's
three
crazy.
combined are shooting 46.4, and then you look at Shea 28.6%, J Dub 26.1%, Chet 11.8%, and Casey Wallace 23.1%. Like arguably their four, like you guys you maybe expect to be their four better shooters have been absolutely appalling in this series, and that's been like who knows where they might be if it wasn't for Caruso, Dort, and Wiggins in this series making shots.
Can we talk about Chet for a second? I, man, I've been very disappointed. The whole playoffs. Like, Chet does Chet things.
Mm.
I've been happy with the Chet things that we've seen, for sure. Um, but the offense,
Especially
the
this series, it's been
offense,
ugly as hell.
it's been just absent. It's been totally absent. I mean, let's just go through these games here. Like, he had a total of what, three threes, three attempts in the first game, six attempts in the next game, one attempt in the next game, three attempts in the next game, three attempts. Barely getting volume up. And he's hit two threes this entire series. You're stretch big. And he's just really questioned his shot. And I think that Pacers have noticed, hey, if we run him off the line, he's not going to shoot. Oh, we don't even have to run him off the line. We just have to close out. If we close out, he's not going to shoot. You don't even have to hard close out. He's going to drive every time. And Chet has just lost his confidence in his shot. I mean, it's a little too late to get that back. Does that magically come back into game seven? Maybe, but that is there's such a, you know, a boon for the Thunder throughout the season where you have so much spacing around these guys, and then you have this big who you could just five out. And Pacers have now just kind of don't denied that. And anytime OKC goes double big, it's like, okay, we're gonna pack the paint. Anytime Shai's gonna just go on a baseline, we're showing help from strong side. We're showing help from three guys. It doesn't matter. So it's been I think that has been a really not discussed part of this series that Chet is a big part of their offense. He doesn't need to score a lot, but his spacing, his playmaking from the elbow, and none of that has been there.
No, no, it's been really bad, and obviously like he's still a plus across the series because his defense has still been so great. But like offensively, like all these dribble drives that just go to nowhere. He's just dribbling down blind alleys, and very rarely is it ever leading to points for the team. He's like it's turnovers, it's no shot. Like there's been moments in these playoffs earlier in the playoffs where I'm like looking at Chet and like, oh damn, I can't really wait to see this guy develop as an offensive player. He could really be one of the better guys. And then there's other moments where I'm like, what the hell? Does this guy know how to play offense at all? Like it's been very up and down. And I guess it's fair for a guy that's effectively still only in his second year, so maybe we should cut him a little
Yeah.
bit of slack. But
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. It's been his offense in the series, no doubt, has been a little bit concerning. And final point on Thunder before we jump back in as a more broader look, I'll say one thing that they've really struggled to do. This is a credit to the Pacers, but also a bit of a critique of the Thunder. They've really struggled to turn their turnovers into points in this series. I
Yeah.
feel like in pretty much every other game like you talk about, oh, there's like they have like 15 to 20 turnovers, but oh, they only have they're still basically like tied in like points off turnovers with the Pacers. Like that's been an area where OKC really thrived, and the Pacers have not let them do that at all.
Yeah, that was something coming in the series that I wondered how that would shape out. Because interestingly, both these teams are among the best in the league in defense in the fast break, despite their pace of play. And I just think it speaks to their discipline, honestly. They're always matched up correctly. I mean, I think out of all the fast breaks that we saw in this game six here, there's only one real mistake that I can think of where, Siakam and Nemhard miscommunicate, leads to a Wiggins open three. But pretty much every other time down, like there's no just clear runs to the rim. There's no terrible cross matching. If anyone's cross match, there's help and then there's recovery. Like there's not there's so much discipline that was shown this game and throughout this whole series in general, which is honestly really impressive. Like it goes to show how much practice goes into these guys' process into not they're not just a breakneck speed team just getting up and down chaos. Like they really know their assignments. They really know their defensive strategy. I want to go back for a second on the Chet front, not to talk about Chet, but to talk about Miles Turner. And yeah, he's had a bad offensive game, series. Not hit his shots. He's not taking care of mismatches. But I feel like he's taken Chet out of the series. Like a couple games here, yes, Chet had a 20-point game. But Chet's not been impactful, and his drives have not been impactful, and he's looked uncomfortable. And Miles Turner has been not only so good at taking Chet away from that, and there's not been many drives. I can think of maybe two where Chet gets a good look at the rim.
No,
Miles Turner's right there. And the way that Miles Turner has been at the point of attack, the way that he's been able to play at the level, the way he's been able to adjust and play a little bit deeper in the drop against Jalen Williams, and the way he's just switched up so many different looks against these two elite slashers for a guy that's been kind of maligned a bit. That year where you're just looking at Defensive Player of the Year, it's like, well, how does he do on the switch? How does he do in space? Is he really that good, or is he just like a great weak side protector? Now he's shown it all throughout this playoffs, especially against this very talented, multifaceted offensive attack from OKC, and deserves a ton of credit for how good their defense has been.
Yeah, I mean their defense kind of built around him. Like obviously, there's still been moments where the OKC have looked to isolate him, where it's like Shai or J Dub, and they've been able to expose him there, which I think is. I don't think you have to read into that too much because I think when you talk about his like major job, which is protecting the rim, the weak side help, matching up with Chet, he's done absolutely superbly.
Yeah, yeah. I think one little nugget I want to point out is what I feel like we saw a lot of in Game Five, which really accelerated from games prior, is okay. So he's like, all right, if you're gonna full court press, we're gonna high screen roll, we're gonna get J Dub downhill. And how many drives to the rim do we see J Dub just in wide open space? And he turns a corner and there's just nothing to do there. The way that Pacers just upped the ante, they played those screens more aggressively, and they're just like, "All right, you're not gonna do that." And they're in the right position every time. Like they just put more pressure. And I feel like OKC was almost daring them to change their philosophy and maybe back off a bit. And who knows what this series would have looked like if that comes true and Pacers kind of go away from their identity and Thunder can get into their offense a bit more. But no, Pacers just they're like, you think we're gonna back down? No, we're just gonna go more aggressive. We're gonna use more energy. We're gonna bring our bigs even higher to the level. And it's I think it just speaks to the Pacers how like they have so many more levels to them than I thought
Yeah.
in so many different ways. And just yeah, so impressed. And especially coming off of that game five win where I mean I felt like they were dead in the water. I thought we were gonna look at us and be like, yep, that's a game that's 4-2. I win that prediction. Everyone goes home, but game seven, here we go.
Yeah, and I mean, like especially that, like we were talking about like the 3 point shot and like game four, like you make the argument like the Thunder probably never should have won that game, going 3 of 16 from three. Like in the modern NBA, it feels crazy that a team can win an NBA Finals game shooting like that. And then last night they had a similar sort of run. They were 3 of 20 before the fourth quarter, where the bench came in and went 5 of 10. The starters when this was a game. OKC were 3 of 20, and the Thunder and the Pacers like really took advantage of that. It's been like you said, like every time you want to doubt them, they come back with a different answer. It's not just like the same answer like bounces back. It's like it's something totally different. And like they've had such great moments. Like Obi Toppin's had some amazing moments in this series. Like watching this as a Knicks fan, like how the hell did we let him go for
Mm.
nothing? And like Neesmith still shooting absolutely insane clip from deep. Like Siakam still, yeah, maybe still had kind of had his up and down. Like Halliburton the same, but what this Pacers team does, the game after game, and how they bounce back is just it's just incredible to watch. It's just a testament to the coaching and what they've built and the energy they continue to play with at this late stage of the playoffs. Like the energy levels just haven't dropped at all. It's like it's just insane that you'd love to be in there watching them like doing preseason and all. Like how the hell did they get into the shape to be still doing this late into the series, playing with this like continuous, like almost like 50%, if not more of the time, they're doing full court press throughout the entire game. Like it's just absolutely amazing to watch.
I am glad we did not forget to shout out Obi Toppin, who I mean what words do you use to describe the surprise at his contributions here? I think that uh, you would casually look at midway through the season and be like, it's not really a guy you want to play in the playoffs. Not really a guy that you want to rely on defense. He's gonna get picked apart. He's kind of pretty like one-dimensional offensively. Does what couple things here and there. But I think not just the shooting, I mean the confidence shooting, man. Like the shots he's taking, it just feels in rhythm every time. Again, testament to the Pacers and how everyone always looks in rhythm. Uh, drives to the rim, just looks so confident. And his defense has not been bad. Yes, if he's getting attacked, he's getting switched on, but he's in the right positions. He's applying pressure on screens. And I think more importantly, offensively, like the amount of gravity that he's provided to this team as a lob threat, constantly cutting. Chet's never comfortable. Like
Yeah.
you put Obi on Chet and Chet's got to be moving around. It's we've not seen Chet be like this game-breaking rim protector because if he's on Obi, if he's on Siakam, like there's just constant cutting, constant relocation. Oh, you forget about him for a second? What do we see? In the third quarter, as soon as OKC wants to get to some zone, Obi relocates, and this team's just like this amoebus organism. As soon as TJ McConnell drives in, Obi knows to relocate, instant three. And we see that throughout the third quarter. OKC tried to switch it up, get to some zone, but this team knows how to get to the open spots. And Obi, I mean, he's just taken full advantage of this opportunity. 20 points in 23 minutes, 4 or 7 from three, timely threes. It's just oof. Tough to see him. You're there in your Knicks hat. They got him for basically nothing, and he's going to be such a key contributor for, I mean, this whole run. If they end up winning this all, they're not going to do it without him. Leading scorer in game six. It's just, it's just unbelievable. You look at this box score alone and you say, wow, Tyrese
Yeah,
only
like
had 14 points. Pascal had 16 points. No way they win that.
mhm. And they won it. Well, they won it more than easily. And like game one as well was huge from Obi. Like the after like I think his first three touches, he turned the ball over with his first three touches in game one, and then ultimately went on to hit five triples and like completely turned it around. And like that helped the Pacers get in position for Harley to hit the game winner, like
Yeah.
he always does. But like looking ahead now to game seven, like just 7 points separate the teams across this series. Like it's been a super tight one, super entertaining, and like this is why like you just want to shut down any bullshit talks about ratings and this sort of load of crap. Like these are two teams who play great brands of basketball and have provided one of the most entertaining finals we've seen. Maybe I mean, when's the last time we seen one this close? Like you can make the argument it's back in 2016. Like you can make the argument that it's been that long since we've seen a real finals game that's been really thrilled game by game like this one has. It just feels like it's got to be Hallie's moment. I know. Maybe he's hurt, and maybe he can't do it. But like we know the story with Halliburton, the record the Pacers have when he scores 20 points. They're 25-3. That's their magic sauce. Because when he scores 20 points, he's being aggressive. Other defenders have to try and like help off and like have to keep an extra eye on him, and that leaves to open looks for other guys. Like it all comes together, and like he has had a pretty underwhelming finals run as a whole.
Yeah.
Like he's only averaging 14.8 points, 6.8 assists. And like that game five no show was like that was giving me like flashbacks to like 2011 LeBron. Like
Mm.
that it was those sort of levels. But he obviously hit that game winner in game one. Like that's what he's done this whole series. Like on the road has been where he struggled, but he's obviously hit the game winners everywhere in Milwaukee, against Cleveland, against the Knicks, against the Thunder. But you make your name on the road. Like you think of like all the great players all time. Like you make your name on the road with iconic road performances. Think like Magic as a rookie against the 76ers, like MJ in Boston, MJ flu game, LeBron and against the Pistons, LeBron in Boston with Miami. Like on the road is where you really establish yourself as a superstar in this league. And I truly believe like the Pacers are gonna need Halliburton to really step up. But like, can he get in there? Can he drop 25 and 10? Because I think I know they've won games without him having to do that this finals. But Sunday, I think he has to drop a pretty impressive line if they're gonna win it.
I'm looking to Shai. So if we're looking at who's going to lead in game seven, it's got to be Shai.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's got to be
I was
Shai.
just talking Pacers side purely.
I I look at game seven and I look nowhere else but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP of this league, trying to come into his own as a top three, top five player in this league. And you saw that he failed. I think that the game is on him. That's your MVP. Game six was theirs to win, and he did not make the plays that he needed to make. I think that he's going to come out in this game and he's going to lead the Thunder to victory. It's going to be Thunder
Agree.
game seven. And the reason I believe that is because I still feel that the decisions he made in game five, in particular, the playmaking that he had there, the type of coverages that the Pacers were throwing, not super different. There was not this different look that he was getting that he could not solve. He's going to settle in, home cooking, and I think he's got to figure it out. This has got to be his moment. Do the Pacers steal it? Do they make this Cinderella run? This would be, I think, just looking back, I can't think of anything, at least in this generation, of a more unlikely finals victor. And I think statistically speaking, it would be the most unlikely. Maybe not in betting odds from the beginning of the season, but for the type of games that they've won, the unlikely seems likely for the Pacers. I can't rule them out, but it's got to be Shea. Shea, you got to take this moment. You're the best
Yeah.
player in the league right now. Jokic, don't say anything. But this has got to be your moment, man. It's got to be him. He's got to turn up. He's got to make the right decisions. And OKC's got to move the ball. They've got to move the ball. They can't do what they did in Game 6. They can't get bogged down in ISOs. They can't just give up the ball off of doubles. And I think they're going to be up to the task. This is the best team in the league. They've proved it, and they've got to show it here in a Game 7. But we'll see.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. Like this is Shea's time. I think the Thunder are ultimately going to come out victors in Game 7. Going back at home, we eventually have seen in this series the Pacers lose 2 games in a row. We still haven't seen the Thunder lose 2 games in a row, and I
Mhm.
don't think that's going to change. I think they're going to have enough. I expect Shea to have a bounce back. I don't think he's had 2 back-to-back underwhelming games at all, probably in the entire season so far. Like you said, I think he is the MVP, and I think he will show it. I think we'll get the glimpses from the other guys, like the J Dubs, like Caruso, like probably Chet as well. But I think Shea's gonna be the guy, like in those moments that we saw in the Denver series, like Game 5, we're just gonna see him completely take over and dominate this game. So I think, yeah, I'm with you. Thunder are gonna get the job done, but man, it's not going to be easy. The Pacers will not roll over. It doesn't matter if they're down 25 or 30. The Pacers are going to keep on battling. And like honestly, like this feels crazy to say, but you think about it, like if the Pacers somehow pull this off, like I'd probably consider Rick Carlisle to be like a top 5 head coach all time. To lead like a second Cinderella story like this after
Yeah.
leading the
No,
Mavs,
truly.
to
Yeah.
do this, like to do
Yeah.
it a second time with a different team, like that would
Yeah.
be absolutely crazy. Something we legit
Yeah.
have never seen before.
Yeah, two different types of all-timer coaches. You got um your man, I can't think of it. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else who's done it like that.
Nah, like it would be absolutely bizarre, and it would be just like so impressive. And I think everyone's like been reminded this year after like some thinking maybe last year was a little bit of a fluke. Like they've been reminded this year of like how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And like one point actually I forgot to make earlier is like one adjustment I need to see the Thunder make is they have to respect the Pacers and realize what the Pacers are. They are limmy and long and flaily. They're always going to be throwing their arms up in the air. They're always going to be around. Like some of the turnovers that the Thunder have had in this series have been absolutely appalling. Genuinely, some of the worst turnovers I've seen ever. And like they've consistently led to 3-point shots and one plays, like out of bounds plays where Caruso, like I think it was in game 3, where the Shea wasn't even looking at him, and the Pacers guy was in his face looking at him, and he just passed it straight to the Pacers player. Last night, that one with TJ McConnell, he's just always throwing his hands up in the air. He just threw it right off his arm, led to a
It's like
three
a free
point shot from
safety.
Obi.
It's like a free
Like
safety. Yeah.
it's something like they just have to be really like they have to respect the Pacers that who they are. They're nonstop. They're always getting hands in there. They're always just kind of throwing things out there, seeing if it works. So that's one thing that the Thunder have to do. They have to make sure they take care of the damn ball.
I think that's a product of the constant pressure. Eventually, it's gonna
Yeah.
work. It's just that the Pacers just keep doing it. They'll never stop. And eventually, every normal team has a little lapse, and they're just always there to take advantage of it. Um, but no, I think it's great. I'm digging into like all the best coaches all time, and you just see like there's so many names. I mean, you look at Greg Popovich, you look at Steve Kerr, Casey Jones, look at Phil Jackson, obviously the name I was blanking on. Um, but I think you look at all these teams you're talking, and nobody's had like that. Like, I mean, Dirk Nowitzki, yes. I mean, is he an all
Yeah.
timer? Absolutely. But
Yeah.
that was not like a clear cut favorite. Like a lot of these coaches, like they had great all time type teams. Yeah. Um, I do want to talk real quick about the trade. I think it's time.
Actually, wait, I
And
want to mention one last thing
oh,
first. One
please,
thing I
please,
will say,
please.
if the Pacers somehow pull off this miracle, I feel insane having these words come out of my mouth. TJ McConnell could legit be the finals MVP.
I
Like he
give you that
legit like he
finally.
has a legitimate case to be the finals MVP if the Pacers were to pull it off.
That would be more egregious than the Andre Iguodala Finals MVP. I
Like you
I
say
think
that, but
it's
like how I know Hallie had his game with it. Outside of that, he's been pretty underwhelming. Siakam's kind of had his ups and downs. I will say I think whoever, if they were to do it, whoever like has the big game in Game 7, I think would win it. Most likely, it will be Siakam or Halliburton. I think that's like the way it goes. Like obviously, we know it's going to be Shai if the Thunder win, but like if the Pacers win, like I don't think it should be a foregone conclusion that it's Halliburton unless he is the guy to like deliver them in that Game 7.
it has to. I feel like they have to give it to Halliburton. The reason I say this, I think that it's a recognition of things beyond the box score. It's a recognition of how this team flows and moves because of him, right? And I think that it would be fair to give it to him, be fair to give it to Siakam, and even Siakam has had so many moments. It's so much more emphatic when we see TJ McConnell do it because it's TJ McConnell. Like it's unbelievable when a guy of his size and his assumed caliber is just constantly making these individual runs of greatness and keeping the Pacers alive. But Siakam's been
Dude
doing it
is
the
a
whole time.
dick. TJ McConnell is a dick. How can he
Hated
do these things? How can he keep doing these things?
He's quickly becoming public enemy number one in the Eastern Conference. But I think what the Pacers have done, I mean, like, dude, they've given so much hope. They've given hope to the Eastern Conference. They've given hope to so many teams. And it's like, hey, like, I think maybe teams aren't doubting the Pacers anymore, but they're like, we can do that. They're doing good things. They don't have this like crazy stockpile of star players they lucked into or traded everything away for. Like, let's try that. And I wonder if this Magic trade might not be the last, not just the Magic do, but other Eastern Conference teams do to vault themselves into what they think could be a Cinderella run of their own. So we see that Magic send out 4 first-round picks and a pick swap. To be fair, 2 of them are not their own. Um, and there are light protections on I believe, I want to say it's 2027 pick or 2028 pick, if I'm not mistaken. But one of the third of the 4 picks that they sent out was light protections.
They gave up that
But
juicy Suns one in it. That was the big one.
yep,
That Suns pick is
that
the big one in it.
that was the biggest one. And Desmond Bane is now in Magic. They send out, Cole Anthony, serviceable rotation player, but more salary dump, right? KCP didn't quite work out. And Desmond Bane, a guy now who I have to like reevaluate my thoughts on him a little bit. Is he worth that? And I feel like that's a question we ask all the time, and there's so much nuance to it. What position is that team in to make that trade? And I think I want to start there real quick. Is this a misevaluation of their current process? Are they at the point now where they should be going for that? Is this a little too early to be sending off all these assets for Bane? Whether or not Bane is that level of player, but just even that thought process.
I think it's just that time where you don't know when your moment's gonna come in this NBA. And like I think that's like, everyone in the East, it seems to be the whole thing. It's like, oh shit, the
Yeah,
Celtics
yeah.
are broken. Oh shit, maybe this is our time. We kind of have to do something. That's why I think the Bucks are almost still considering what they can potentially, possibly, maybe try and scramble together to try and do something for one more year with Giannis, something like that. But like that's what every team kind of is looking around at in the East, thinking, "Oh shit!" Like the door is open, and it's like it's been so long since the Magic have done anything. So like, yeah, get out and do it. Like it's been so long since they made any sort of significant trade like this. They've gone out and got a guy who can shoot the three in the exact sort of ways that they need it, like off the ball. He can do a little bit off the dribble, catch and shoot. That's his forte. Like he could be a great fit in this team. They got off that KCP contract, which got looking pretty ugly after a really difficult first year. Like I said, maybe there's something in the water in Orlando where no one can shoot the three ball, but I think Desmond Bane is a guy that on paper is pretty much exactly what they need in their team.
Exactly what they need. Does not need the ball. Moves very well without the ball. Great three-point shooter. Can attack closeouts well. Slasher. Decent playmaker. And we've seen him do it in several stretches without Ja being that primary guy. And I think this all ultimately comes down to, in terms of timing and does this make sense, is belief in your franchise, belief in your franchise player. And I don't think it's insane to look at Banchero and look at his running mate in Franz Wagner and look at the defense they built around him and the depth of their bigs and their wings, the X factors they have, if especially if you got Suggs coming back healthy, you think about your starting lineup and you how much do you fix? You add another secondary playmaker who can work without the ball, like Jalen Suggs. Two guys who can space the floor. Does that start to fix some things? Does that start to catalyze their offense in a way that they go from being objectively the worst offense in the league to serviceable? If they're a serviceable offense with the level of defense that they could bring to the table, they look at this playoff run, they look, hey, how did those teams win? I mean, yeah, Thunder have they have some tremendous offensive runs in them, but it's all built on defense. They have not had some beautiful offensive games. Pacers too. I mean, they look at these runs and they say, hey, we can replicate a lot of that. You think you're good at defense? I think we're better at defense.
Yeah.
Think you got size? I think we got more size. And you throw in a guy like that, and you just got to see what happens. I think I agree with that philosophy a little bit more, especially in this day and age where the dynasties are dead. There's not a wealth of big names on one team, and you have a chance. I think it's fair for them to make that. A lot of people are going to say like, Bane's not worth 4 first round picks in a swap. Maybe not, but is a deep playoff run for a team who has not done it, for a team who feels like they should have done it this year, but felt a little injured, and their team is not really quite where they're supposed to be. Does that context change that? I feel like it does.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one important thing, we have to remember what we saw from Paolo Banchero to start this season. He was
Hmm.
absolutely red hot. Looked like this is his emergence. He was going to be like he was looking all NBA level talent. Then he got injured, couldn't really recover from that. And I fully expect next year to see this next level of Banchero. I expect him to have a huge year, and it's great to see that the Magic see that too, and they're putting this faith in him. They're making this big move. They still got a few assets around there. Obviously, that obviously brings up the salary bill and little things like that. But I think this is the right time to make a move like that for them. And I just I think like I've seen this written around. I think people place a little bit too much value on first round picks sometimes. There's no guarantees to that. Like sometimes it's easier to go with a guaranteed asset. Not to say that he's definitely going to be like the number one option that's gonna completely make you championship contenders. But what he brings on paper is perfect for this team. They now have like to get a little bit of playmaking from Franz, a little bit of playmaking from Suggs, a little bit from Banchero, a little bit from Bane. And like they're kind of like not to say like it's the exact same mold, but it's not too dissimilar to like the Boston Celtics who play with like a natural point guard compared to like maybe the Pacers or the Knicks. They kind of all are solid playmakers who all kind of do a little bit of their own thing, and like that's what we're going to see from this Orlando offense, and maybe this is what does that one bit that they need, that little switch that they needed to really become potentially like they can become like a top 12 offense. Match that with their defense. That's like a team that can win playoff series.
Yeah, I will push back on that a little bit. It's not. I think the philosophy of like you don't know what player you're gonna get out of that first round pick. I think is absolutely true. Like if you have a known quantity and you already have your core, maybe it makes sense, right? Makes a little more sense. But I think the caution that I do agree with is, hey, you have great players and you have a really nice defense. You have no idea what this offense is supposed to look like right now at all. Like Banker, like you have an idea of what Bankero and an offense around him should look like, but it's not been put into practice. Like this is not we just needed that one piece and we already have things going for us, and that's going to make us elite. That's going to make us viable in the playoffs. We know that. There's a lot of unknown. And you talked about the salary cap, you talked about how much of a bind they're going to be in. quickly approaching, and they accelerated the timeline of their contention essentially. They didn't completely jettison all their assets. They still got some young guys, but they kind of went all in on this one. And what if it doesn't work out? Because like I said, there's not this like known concept of this is what our offense is going to look like. Bane adds to that, and boom, we're good. It's kind of like, hey, I hope Bane fixes this entirely broken machine, the broken engine. I hope he just magically fixes that. And I think he could, but it's a big question. If that doesn't work, then what? Try again next year?
Yeah.
Try again the next year? Because then those questions come in. Okay, is Franz and Bankero, are they meant to be together? Maybe you net back first round picks with them. Maybe you don't. So I think having those first round picks as insurance is a pretty important thing to pivot when you really need to pivot. Did you need to pivot right now? I think if the conservative folks out there worried about the future, I can understand their point of view on that because I think it's far from a definite. But again, you look at a Pacers run, that wasn't a definite. Is Halliburton that much caliber of player greater than Bankero? I think their system is for sure, but it's going to take a lot of work, coaching wise, and from that team to coalesce and figure out their offense. I don't think Bane's just going to be the only thing to fix it, and if they don't, they give him a lot.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think they're kind of looking. Obviously, this has been such a long time coming for Orlando, basically since the Dwight Howard era ended. When was that? That was what, like 2010, 2011.
Yeah,
Like it's been a long time coming for
there's a new
Orlando.
Dwight Howard era. It's a big three.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you look at like obviously last year you're kind of thinking, man, maybe they should have been able to get over the line, but it was still that first year. Then they go into this year and oh, we just got a little bit injured, but we believe we're in a better spot. And then like now that they've made their swing and believe that they can maybe take advantage of what's going on in the Eastern Conference, and I wouldn't rule them out being able to do it. One thing that's important, I think that's important for the context, like Bane is not too much older than like Franz or Banchero. They're all kind of on a similar timeline, so doesn't need to. That's not necessarily it's a rush. It's not like it's 1 year and they don't
Bane
go
is
to the
low-key
conference
old.
finals. What age is Bane? He's not. He's like 26 now.
It's Oh,
Is he older than that? Is that crazy?
he's 28. Well,
Am
because
I
he got
forgetting that?
drafted as a 23-year-old.
Oh shit, yeah. I guess I forget that element of it. Is he that old?
I swear he's 28. He's 26, going to be turning 27.
So I was right.
So,
But yeah.
well, he'll be 27. He'll be age 27
Yeah.
season.
More importantly, I was right. But yeah. But yeah, still, like that's not crazy old. Like that I know obviously Banchero and Franz are still in their early 20s, but it's not like it's a trade for like a guy like a KD or someone of that nature. That's kind of the point that I was more going for. So yeah, I think we're like different sides of the same coin. I think we're on here. We're kind of into it, but we are also we can understand maybe the hesitance, maybe that this isn't the guy that you go all in on. But that's what the way the modern market is. We saw it last year. Like the Knicks had to pay an extra fee because it was their crosstown rivals. They knew the Nets knew how much the Knicks wanted Mikal Bridges, and that cost an extra couple of picks. Then maybe this year you look at it and you're thinking they had to maybe give an extra pick to get off of KCP's contract, which I think he'll probably bounce back maybe in Memphis. Like I think maybe that system will suit him better. And it was just a down year in Orlando, but it looked really really bad for what they were paying him. And like maybe it's a big deal to kind of get off that contract. So I like the move. I'm going to believe in it, and I think that's going to set the Magic up to do better than they have. They've
Yeah.
gone to one level, then they kind of dropped down due to injuries. I think they can bounce back next year.
Yeah, and I think that, the way you mentioned it in the context of Mikal Bridges and the cost that was sent there and why it cost that much, the cost should make sense here. It's not a dumb cost. Like there's you're gonna pay a premium when you're like, hey, don't there's not gonna be a bidding war because OKC or Memphis is not clearly selling. I mean, there's rumors that maybe they would, but they're not in like sell-off mode. So
Yeah.
I think you're still gonna pay a premium on their I don't know. Like, where do we think of Ja right now? Is that their third best player, second best player? They're a very valuable player. The Grizzlies have entirely shifted. We'll have a chance to talk to them at some point, but they've entirely shifted their trajectory because of this trade. So you're gonna pay a premium on that, and you're probably gonna pay a premium on a guy that, there's not a ton of guys for sale like that right now. Who are you gonna trade for that fulfills that exact archetype next to your two big playmaking wings? Not a ton, especially a guy like Bane who plays both ends of the floor. It's hard to find guys like that who also play defense. So it makes sense. And as someone who has zero, vested interest in the long-term future of the Magic, and I'd love to actually watch a Magic game and enjoy their defense without like shaking my head every offensive possession. It's going to be fun. And the Eastern Conference got a little bit better. It's about time we stole some players from West, and hopefully we don't continue to have a talent drain as we've seen over the years. But happy for that.
Unless Giannis gets booted out of here to the West too. But yeah,
Stop.
hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah,
Stop.
that's gonna wrap up today's episode. Game 7, Sunday, 8 p.m. Thunder versus Pacers. We're back. Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Some of the best words you can ever hear. Hopefully it lives up to all the other games we've seen so far in this series. But you guys enjoy that. We'll have you here covered for the after the game, what's next in the NBA, what's next in the trade market. The draft is just around the corner. We'll be covering it all here on Coast to Coast. But for now, thank you so much for joining us. And remember, we're everywhere on social media at Coast to Coast NBA. And most importantly, remember to take every shot and love every moment.
Peace out.